One of my favorite pet theories is that you can be a stone cold atheist and still believe in magic because language, art, and magic are all basically the same thing. Hi, I'm Matt Hirschberger. I write about how we can face a bleak world with hope, imagination, and curiosity. If you like that sort of thing, give me a follow. So this theory comes from the acclaimed writer Alan Moore, who you probably know best from his comics like Watchmen or V for Vendetta. Moore also calls himself a magician or a wizard, based off of this theory around art and magic. The idea itself is pretty simple. What Moore says is that when language and art first arose in human societies, we probably weren't able to tell the difference between them and between magic. The reason is pretty obvious. If you were really, really good at telling stories, then you would be able to transport people from where they are and basically make them hallucinate the story that you were telling. If someone was diametrically opposed to things and you were really good at debating people, you would be able to convince them to do something that they were completely against before. These abilities to basically shape the world around you would have seemed to people who didn't necessarily have the language to understand this stuff like magic. Moore bolsters the theory by saying that the language of magic and the language of language are largely the same. We cast spells. If we're trying to put something bad on someone, we curse them. An old word for the magic book that people use is grimoire. That just translates to grammar. If you give a really, really incredible performance, it is spellbinding. All of these things are basically proof that at one point we kind of had these two ideas together in our head. The reason that this is so cool from a modern sense is that it gives us sort of this ability to have mastery over ourselves, which isn't something that we get a lot of in this world. So, for example, if you've been in therapy, you've probably had at some point where your therapist works out with you on a story that you've been telling yourself over and over that you could just change. So you might be telling yourself every day, oh, I'm a giant piece of shit. And then your therapist is like, well, what if we say you are doing the best you can with the circumstances that you are currently stuck in? And if you're able to get that story to take over in your head, you're going to have a much healthier, much better perspective on what could be a very difficult life. The other cool thing about it is thinking about it as magic can help us kind of protect ourselves against some of the tricks that people use against us. So if we don't want to be led along by people who don't have our best interests at heart, we can learn about how propaganda works, how logic works, how fallacies work, how our biases work, and we can kind of get a little bit of self-control over all of these things, and we'll be able to better protect ourselves from people kind of using our magic against us. None of this requires any sort of belief in the supernatural, but it does mean you can play with kind of silly pseudoscientific stuff like tarot and the I Ching and astrology as ways of sort of unearthing these kind of thoughts and processes in your head that you don't necessarily understand, but which could be used to control you.